Yeah.
You can start, sir.
Good evening to all the members who have joined for this webinar on GST Simplified using Tally Prime. So I welcome and also Mr. Deepak Tiwari, AGM Product Excellence. Friends, is one of the very important domain for all of us, and we're all busy every month trying to comply with the requirements of the GST for all our clients. I think a lot of members would be able to finish the job more faster and share her skills on Excel and Tally and various products. I'm sure she'll be able to explain all the features of this Tally Prime and using Tally Prime to filing our GST returns in an effective way. So before I request Challani, Ranka to address, I would briefly introduce her. She is a BCom from MOP Vaishnavi College, Chennai, and a CA in practice from the year 2016. Her contributions to the professional bodies and organizations are, she has been presenting on automated templates in Excel and in Chartered Accountant Study Circle, Chennai. She has written an article on composition scheme under GST in the Journal of Chartered Accountancy Study Circle, again Chennai. She's been a very good presenter and presenting on using Excel for bank audit analysis and working papers at T Nagar, West Mambalam, CP Study Circle chapter, and Chengalpattu district branch of SIRC of ICAI. She's presented on audit automation and effective use of available technology at the Association of Chartered Accountants, Chennai, and also SICASA and Tally Forum. She assisted in CASC monthly bulletin, company law bulletin also. She has assisted in the book preparation by Sri CATN Manoharan on direct tax laws and international taxation. And she has given opinions on various aspects concerning tax and business. She is also trained on advanced knowledge in Tally, Excel using macros, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. And she's participated in various national level seminars and conferences. There is a brief profile of and since we also have Tiwari, I'd like to introduce him, Mr. AGM, Zonal Product Excellence, and associated with for more than 6 years. Zone with Tally. There's lots of experience with Tally as a product and related domain expertise also. His area of expertise includes knowledge of GST domain and Tally product. He has been addressed a large set of audiences through events and webinars on various topics like GST, E-Invoice, e-way bill, audit trail. With this brief profile, I introduce the speakers, CM Monica and Mr. Deepak Tiwari. I now hand over the proceedings to CM Monica to share her experiences and ways of helping our members in solving GST filing through a simplified use of Tally Prime. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir has given a very brief profile, which puts me into a lot of pressure to actually overperform. Having said that, today's topic is a fairly simple and a lighter topic. So it is not based on technical or legal angles. However, we will touch upon a little bit of legal aspects. But having said that, this topic per se is not based on any technical or legal aspect. So any legal or technical question, if if you want, you can post it and we can take it up offline. But we will not be addressing any legal or technical aspects regarding the act or the law in this particular session. This session is purely on practical front point, and we will be only considering all the practical issues wherein we have we're going to see the overview of like how GST can be simplified through Tally. So Tally as a software is a it is also an evolving software. It has evolved through Tally, the old 7.2 version, till today we see Tally Prime 2.2. So they are even coming up with few more versions and few more changes, which Deepak sir will definitely take us through. But having said that, we will see the basics, and we will also see where and how error checking can happen in the returns we file. Having said that, let's get straight to the topic. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes, ma'am. Visible. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So today's topic is GST compliance and analysis via Tally, or as to put it, GST simplified through Tally. So having said that, I always start with a quote, and this quote, I'm sure people would have just seen this quote, but this is my most favorite quote. Like we always say education is important, but education is important, but skill development is more important, and we have to, in this generation, we are supposed to be adaptive, creative, and inventive is a word, but discoverers definitely we can be. And as agile as we are, we can sail through the the rough storms of changes. So that is the proverb I have chosen for the day, and this is also part of my all of my presentation structure of any activity. So every activity or every every kind of activity, when may it be business, may it be any life activity, everything follows through a particular process, which always has an input or a source, which it has a destination, and through this destination is a path or a procedure, and in that procedure path we have documentation. You can take any example for that matter. Let us take a very lighter example, which is not involving any accounting. We can just say, okay, we are traveling to a particular place, or for a holiday or a destination for vacation. So what do? We travel from this one, from our home place to a destination, which is any exotic location. Over there, we are like we do some packing, we do some planning, and we, according to the plan, we do packing, and we do a lot of activities in between. That is the path of the procedure. And while doing so, like train tickets, we have certain flight tickets and all of that, we actually keep them, and then we go there, we click photographs, we do a lot of things. So that can be like counted as documentation or experience. You can put that in the accounting perspective. Let's go GST itself. So in GST, the output is, like, for example, for outward transactions, the output is your sales invoice, or you can say the return, which E-Invoice, which you are generating, and the input, the source would be the probably the purchase order raised by the supply or raised by the customer, or it could be any oral request also. That could be your source or input. And while doing so, you're going to create some documentation, your invoice copies, or the you're going to attach some sales orders, or you're going to attach some documentary evidence of goods movement. In case of goods industry service, you can have some service completion forms or certificates. So that would be the documentation. So every activity has these definite units. If you ask me, what would be the initial stage of any activity? I mean, when you are about to do, if I just ask, or majority, at least 90% of all the attendees would say input is the input or source is the starting point. But if you ask me, if in my opinion, the starting point is never the input or the source, the starting point is the output or the destination. So if you do not know the source or the destination, no matter how right your input is, or how right your procedure is, if you do not know your destination, your entire procedure will fail. So, like for example, in our case, if we just take a GST invoice, if we do not know the contents of the GST invoice, the entire procedure, the entire input, everything being right, still the entire procedure will fail, just because we have not noted the output. If we know the output, no matter what is the input, we will be able to reach it. So according to me, the starting of any activity, the start point of any activity is the output or the destination. You can take any number of examples, n number of activities, and you will actually in the end confirm that yes, this is the actual point where we should actually start considering. If you take tax audit or any audit report as an example, if we do not know the contents of the audit report, so what will happen? We will start it right. We will do the complete audit procedures. We will finish everything, and then we'll realize, okay, we have missed out so and so details. That is because we are not aware of what is in our destination. So according to me, this particular output part is the source of any activity. So if you want your activity to be in line with what you are intending to do, you need to be aware and you need to start at your destination. If you just go backward, all your procedures and path will fall in line with your desired output. So that's the reason that slide. So today's agenda is very simple and very pretty light out one. So I mean, if you can actually sit back, enjoy, and just see if you have if you know it, you can just have a revision. If you do not know it, it might be some learning. In the process, maybe I learn something from you. So please feel free to put your comments in the chat box. Any questions you want to ask, we have a Tally expert. So any questions you want to ask regarding the software, regarding any aspect of the software, you can just put it across. If requirement be, we can also put certain suggestions also to the Tally team. Having said that, this is the broad overview of the topic. All of us know, since accounting is what we are going to start with, accounting is governed by Section 35 of the CGST Act, and the rules that are 56, 57, 58 is what provides the entire gamut of accounting. Having said that, accounting per se, it also defines the set of documents that have to be recorded, maintained by the supplier or any registered person, and also by persons who are other than the supplier or the registered person. For example, in case of warehouse or in case of bonded warehouse, what are the documents they're supposed to require? They're required to be maintaining, and also the documents that are supposed to be generated. So the content of the invoice, the documents such as stock register, probably the supplier register, the invoices, copies of invoices, debit notes, and all of these details have been mentioned in the said rules. The act is only the governing act, but all the detailed information regarding the set of documents and the contents of the invoice and accounting has been mentioned in these rules. This might not be new to you, but yeah, there are 22 returns under the GST, defined under the GST rules, of which only 11 are active as of now. 3 are suspended, and view only 8. The best return which we know is GSTR 2B, which is a view only return, and the GSTR 2A was also a view only return. So having said that, let's just get into a little bit of basics of E-Invoicing, because that's the need of the hour. We are aware that from 1st April, 20 crores was the threshold. Before that, it was 50 crores, and before that, 100 crores, and that was the turnover. The first enabled provision was for 500 crores, and it just is coming down. It's just a matter of time, then it becomes applicable to majority of the taxpayers. So it's a need of the hour to know about E-Invoicing. So section 2.6 mentions defines the aggregate turnover, because the notification clearly mentions aggregate turnover higher than 20 crores. So if your turnover may be exempt or reverse charge, you're a reverse charge liable turnover. I'm not talking about inward supplies, I'm talking about outward supplies liable to reverse charge. All of such turnover will be liable to this particular will fall under the gambit of this particular notification. So only exemptions are in case of transaction nature, import bill of exchange, if you have completely B2C transactions, or if you have non-GST transactions such as petrol, liquor, and all those particular transactions. If you have, only then you are not liable for E-invoice. Otherwise, there is no such exemption to E-invoicing. Now, this particular notification says, notification 70/22 says, aggregate turnover has to be seen right from the start of the act, which is from financial year 17-18 till today. Any year, if the turnover exceeds or it crosses the threshold, then no matter, it is not year-on-year basis. Once it crosses in any of the years, indefinitely E-invoice is mandatory. So even if your turnover comes down to comes down below 20 the threshold, then this particular E-invoicing will still be mandatory because it had once crossed 20 crore. It's similar to the new scheme under Income Tax Act. So there is no going back. Once E-invoice is applicable, it is applicable indefinitely. It is not applicable to a certain set of set of suppliers. It is entity level, not supplier level. That means PAN level, PAN basis. So, for example, SEZ units, banking, NBFC, insurance companies, GTAs, passenger transport companies, and also multiplex cinemas. Now, in this case, for example, in case of GTA, if they are, it's not just GTA transactions that are exempted. It is also in case they are providing some other transactions, like they're just doing unloading and loading of services also. Even those services will get exempted from E-invoicing. It's PAN, it's QA entity and not service or supply per se. So if the entity falls under GTA category, maybe they do some other related service. Even that related service is also exempted from E-invoice. So we are aware that Rule 48, 1, 2, and 3 is the rule that governs the invoice aspect. So the Rule 1 states the invoices that have to be there, and 2 and 3 are the additional rules for invoices. For E-invoicing, Rule 48, Sub-Rule 4, 5, 6 is applicable. In Sub-Rule 4, it says that the invoice should contain particulars contained in Form GST INV01, which is filed and authenticated by this invoice registration portal, and that this is the central registry that authenticates and takes in the GST E-invoices and then generates something called IRM. I'm sure you're aware. For the benefit of people who are not aware, I am just repeating it. So, so this particular central registry, this IRP, this generates an IRN, which have to be mandatorily included in all of your, the invoices, E-invoices. So if the IRN is not valid, then the E-invoice automatically is invalid, and the invoice also becomes invalid. So for who and all E-invoicing is applicable? For what kind of transactions? It is B2B and B2G. That is nothing but business to business and business to government transactions. Export invoices, reverse charge, in case of outward reverse charge, credit notes and debit notes raised on outward supplies. So in all these categories, E-invoice is mandatory and has to be generated, and E-way bill, if applicable, also has to be generated. Certain benefits of E-invoice is due to the various softwares which are getting used, the accounting softwares. Tally is one such example. We have Zoho. We have so many other softwares. So every software has its own style of accounting, and every software has its own style of invoicing as well. To mitigate that the differential accounting and invoicing methods, this particular e-invoice is very useful in creating a standard format. And one more such benefit all of us are aware is the auto reporting and auto population of e-invoices directly to the GST returns. And thirdly, the e-way bills automation. So you need not separately generate an e-invoice and separately generate an e-way bill. Once e-invoice is generated, e-way bills also can be automatically generated if if all the details have been provided. Now, in case of RCM transactions, so in case of RCM transactions, again, we have two sections governing it. One is 9.3 and one is 9.4. I'm pretty sure all of us are aware of it. I am just, just brushing up so that, we can just get into the tally aspect. So 9.3 is for, certain list of services, goods and services as notified. And 9.4 is for supply from unregistered suppliers. So again, 9.3 can have two bifurcations, again from registered and unregistered. Now, if it's unregistered, it's similar to 9.4. Now, if it's a registered supplier for inward supplies for RCM, then such registered suppliers only supposed to generate e-invoice and not the person availing, not the recipient. Similarly, in case of unregistered, the recipient is again not liable to generate e-invoice. This is the e-invoice technology. This alone we will come back once we just go through the tally this thing. So for the benefit of start, to give me the benefit of start, I will start from the start. So all of us are aware that F11 features contain all the GST details. So the first enabler is F11. So once you say yes, all such details have to be entered, all of the GST registration details, whether monthly or quarterly, please check it, because the software will automatically choose quarterly period when you go to GSTR1, or you will have to manually keep changing the period every time you go in. So please select the frequency rightly, and it is advisable that you do not, generally for parties for whom e-invoice is applicable, automatically it becomes that they might have, multiple rates of taxes, or even if they do not have, later on if you might have different rates of taxes, it's advisable do not enter rate details over here. However, if you have only one kind of transaction and only one rate, then you can very well come and set the rates here. E-way bill applicability, you just key in the details and you can just accept it. So this is very simple, so I'm not going to waste much of time here. Now automation, there are various levels of automation which you can do for your clients, also for yourself. One is level 1 automation, wherein the rate is keyed in and the GST comes in automatically. There is one more level of automation which can happen and restriction which can happen, wherein you restrict certain voucher types to certain accountants or something. Also, you can restrict what entries can be input in that particular voucher type. That is a next level of automation which also can be done without the use of TDL. I'm talking about these automation which is without the use of TDLs. Of course, with the help of TDL, there's nothing but tally definition language, which is another set of activities. In that, you can have various other restrictions and controls you can place, but without the use of TDL, with the product per se, you can restrict entries. So that also is possible. However, I'm going to only touch upon the first level wherein you automate the rate. So for example, this is the invoice. So these are already generated, but I will just go inside and just touch upon a few aspects which mandatorily have to be right. So this is all fine. Now, where people generally go wrong is this place. So now this party is a Bangalore registered party. So now if this by chance is Tamil Nadu, and I'm just going to accept this. Now this will throw an error over here. Since earlier it was Tamil Nadu, it is coming correctly. So now if I do this, this will definitely throw an error. So what happens is, in our case, generally whichever state is your GST number, that state automatically is in the party's ledger. So this is the first place where error happens. So this is a place, and then what the tally software stores this particular information and then keep throwing out errors until the data, this entry is re-typed. So this is the first place where error happens. And sometimes it may not be changeable. In such scenario, the only solution is to delete that entry and repass that entry. But this is an easy solution. Let's go for, to companies wherein they have controls on deletion, they have controls. So they might, instead of deletion, you might have to cancel that invoice, and a lot of repercussions might follow. So this place, please be very careful, because one more error which generally happens is, accountants use this all too. So what they do, they just copy the, duplicate that invoice and start changing details. The dangerous aspect of all two is, a lot of times the software saves that particular information of the previous invoice itself. So what happens is, the taxable value which you're inputting, that taxable value may not get updated. So all two should be used only in cases of absolute necessity. Otherwise, all two is not a good solution. So do not duplicate the invoices. Please advise your clients that this is where all the errors happen. So now this particular party is, all the details are right. So sales account, I'll say around 25 and just a second. Yeah, so 25 at 2,700 probably. So 67,500. Now, if you just see this particular ledger, everything has been automated, but GST is not coming automatically. The reason being, we had changed the GST details while passing the entry. So what has happened now? Tally is confused as to what should be the rate and what should be the the detail. So this is the reason why the state and the place of supply is extremely important. Additional level, what you can do is, you can just come here, just say, yes, this is F12. F12 is the configuration key every place at Tally. Wherever you go and press F12, related to that particular screen, you will find the configuration. Now we are in the voucher screen, so we are getting voucher related configuration. If you go to the register screen, you will get register related configuration. So F12, over here, you just say modify rate details, you set it as yes, and one more place, allow modification, modify all entries during voucher entry. This, if you say yes, yeah. So what will happen is, while you're doing every place, so you will be able to modify every transaction at their place if you do not specify. Now I'll just go back to this particular sales ledger, and I will just show you what has been done over here. So over here we have said that nature of transaction, we have not set it to anything. We have not said whether it's sales taxable. In case you want this only to act as local sales, then you have to compulsorily select sales taxable. In case you want it to behave dynamically, do not select anything. However, the taxability will have to be selected. Now I'll just go to all W. Since no changes have happened, nothing has happened. In case you make any changes, make sure you go to this particular rate history, which is your details, and you check the date from which the earlier changes were applicable, whether you need it or not, or if you don't need it, you just have to delete the applicable from that entry. I'll just do a thing. I will just select this. I'll go back and probably I'll change this to taxable and make it 5%, and just, so I'm going to go back and now see all W. If you see on 1/4/22, I have made it taxable and I had set the rate to 5%. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to change the rate and make it 18%. And I'm going to just, now it is asking me the revised applicability date. If I'm going to give the same date, let's see what happens. Now this particular case, the data has been updated and it is showing the rate difference. But having said that, what happens is this data is in essence from 1st April 22, but our data might be an older start data. So in that case, what happens is the old information gets stored as if on 1st July, say 1st July 2017, and the changes you make might just start from the date in which you're passing the invoice. So you have to be very careful when you're making changes to this aspect. I'm sure you're aware, but for the benefit of people who are not aware, I mean, with this particular detail, can take it up. Still, having made all the changes, if you just notice, having made all the changes, still I'm not able to pass this the entry. The reason being, you have modified it multiple times and Tally is not able to recognize. Only solution is go out and come back. And now there are three places where you can enable the GST calculation automation. One place is, as I showed you, at the company level. The second place is at the ledger level. The third place is at the item level. If you have inventory, it is advisable you do it at the item level. Now, item level also, you can do it at two places, one under the group level and one under the item level per se. Now, if you have one group wherein all the items in that group fall in a particular class, like fall under the particular same HSN code and fall under the same GST number, GST rate, then you can use it under the group level. You can just provide the details at the group level and it will get affected all to all the items. But if you do not have such category wherein the HSN code is not the same, then do not at any cost make the configuration of GST, this particular configuration of GST under the group category. Do it at the stock level. So now this is the rate, 12% is the rate, but the rate I chose over there in the sales ledger was 18%. That is the reason this particular invoice is not getting generated. So I will go back to this sales ledger. Let me just see. Yeah. Over here, when I go to the GST ledger, I do not specify the rate. If you want to specify the rate here, then you the rate has to be uniform in all the 3 places or just be at one place. So the GST rate details, the HSN details have to be in one place. Over here, you need not specify the rate, and this can be uniformly used for various kinds of rates. So that is about it. Now, this is the place where we input the e-invoice related information. So, whether it is supply, whether it is, given for job work, whether it is for, fair exhibition, and the consignee details is always available. But this particular transportation detail, the part B details, may not be available. So you just mention the transporter's details, and this, if it's available, please provide it. If not available, you can generate only part A, and the part B can be generated later. So once that is done, the bill to ship to, this is important because this is the place with which it will be verified with the e-way bill details. So once this is done and you have saved your invoice, it will show whether you want to send this e-invoice for e-invoice and e-way bill generation. If it has to happen simultaneously, then you can definitely do this, or you just say no and it will proceed. So if you just say yes, it will tell you, I'll ask you for the e-invoice login credentials, and once you input the credentials, the e-invoicing will happen automatically. It will go directly to the portal and it will get back the IRN number and it will input. So if you just come back, in case you have done it, if the login details are there, e-way bill number, e-way bill number and date, if generated, will come here, and IRN number and the date, all of it will automatically be filled up here. This particular demo will be shown by Deepak sir once this presentation is done. So for those who have not followed, this will be done again. This is just the basic overview. Once you say no, it will come and show here. It will come and show in this e-invoice register, which is directly from GoTo. You can just click on e-invoice. The shortcut to GoTo is Alt G, which you can easily see. If there's a single line below the letter, then it is Alt plus that letter. If there is double line, in case of over here, if you see B, then it is Control followed by the letter. So if that is done, and you can see the list of invoices that are, over here, and you can see the status. So now this particular invoice was rejected by the, portal. And what was the reason? All of it you can see here. Similarly, if it's pending, it will come and show here. And any other, details, all the details regarding IRN e-invoice can be seen here. And this is the IRN register. This is how the IRN register looks. IRN, marked as IRN cancel. This is the status as per the e-invoice portal. So now this is where you can see the consolidated for the month, and you can take your corrective actions, whatever applicable. Now, e-invoice once generated cannot be cancelled. You have only a small duration of time, which is 24 hours, within which you can cancel. That also on a particular items only. Anything apart from that only has to be done by way of credit note or debit note. So you have to be very careful before you generate the e-invoice. Similarly, e-way bill, e-invoice and e-way bill are integrated. So once e-invoice and e-way bill details are there, it will automatically be updated and it will automatically integrate and generate the e-way bill as well. But still, at the same time, you can do it separately as well. You can generate the e-invoice and then generate the e-way bill. While cancellation, e-way bill has to be cancelled first and then the e-invoice. So that is about the accounting aspect. You can also, let me go up to the purchase side. Please mention the supplier invoice number and date, because in the coming time, Tally is coming up with even the GST 2B reconciliation. So if the supplier invoice number and date will not be right, the matching will become highly difficult. So this is very, very important that the supplier number has to be as per the invoice only, and the date also. The accounting date and the supplier date can be different, as we all know it. So this date will have to be exactly, it means the date as per the supplier's invoice number. So that is a prerequisite for any such any reconciliation. So it will be better if we record these transactions perfectly. Apart from that, one more requirement which is there is, it is advisable to book all your expense and your purchase entries in the purchase voucher type. You can have separate voucher types wherein you can say purchase expense as a voucher type and purchase goods as a voucher type, but it is advisable that you do it under the purchase voucher type, because you get the flexibility of the invoice modes, which is over here. You can just change the mode and you can get the flexibility of this accounting and voucher invoice mode. Having said that, journal voucher type also permits such GST recording of transaction, but still it is advisable that you use the purchase and sales voucher type. So that this is all about the basics of accounting. Similarly, we can just create probably transport. So we can say so if you do not want to mention what it is, you can just say taxable and say taxable for 5%, and whether it's goods or service. Now, in case of freight, generally it is a reverse charge applicable item, but if you see the GST details is not there, so just press on F12 and just say yeah. So you can put the HSN code and whether reverse charge is applicable. So once you say do that, since it's an item invoice that is showing so you can just quickly change the invoice and create a freight charges invoice. Yeah. Now, since we have passed the entries and I'm sure we are aware of the entries, I'll directly go into the GST return. First, the GSTR1 return, and I'm going to choose this period. Now, if you just come here, all of the transactions are falling under mismatch, either of the mismatches. Now, if you just get into the transaction, you will be able to see that this particular transaction is a Karnataka registered, and this particular party, if you just go to F11, if you just see, it is a Karnataka registered party as well. Having said that, all the transactions are coming and falling under mismatch. The reason is very, very simple. It is because that while passing the entry, the taxation details have been modified. That is the only simple reason why this particular error is coming. So now once I have rectified, if you just see, I have just gone into one transaction, rectified the the details over here. Once I accepted this, automatically all such rectifications happened on its own. Now what other details errors are possible? I will quickly just generate a invoice with the wrong entry. How did I do this? I just quickly went, I clicked on All C. All C works in every place. If you are here and you want to create a new stock item, you just click on All C. It's a creation screen, stock item creation screen. If you just see here, you will be able to see that is the stock item creation screen. In case you want to alter this, you just press Control Enter. Now, if I'm on the ledger place and I just click on All C, it will go into the ledger creation screen. If I'm at the item, the amount space, and I press on All C, it will go to the calculator. So once I just do some calculation and press enter, automatically that entry will be input. That is the difference between Control N and All C. So you can use All C for your calculation. Again, this is for the benefit of people who do not know. So now this e-invoicing details, and I'm just gonna just save this invoice. Now this particular, I'll just go directly to GSTR1 from go to menu. This particular detail, I'll just do a thing. This, since we have changed the information, this is what happens if the information gets changed. So I will quickly just create a new party and I will create a new this thing so that we can quickly see the aspects which I want to cover. So I'll just say Or I'll just do a thing. I will just open another company. It'll be better for this purpose. Okay, so there are a set of purchase and sales transactions in this particular party. So I will just go to GSTR1, and if you can see that everything is falling straight into the return, and there are absolutely no errors. So now I'm going to create an error. So I'm going to go create a voucher. So I'm going to create a voucher or sales voucher. In this particular party called Interstate Limited, and I'm going to create a sales entry. Now, this particular detail comes only if you click on this F12 and say modify rate details, and also modify voucher all entries, all fields during voucher entry. So now once this is done, you have to select the rate details. You need not do it if this is not if it's already mentioned in the item or the stock level, and you need not bifurcate between the items. Otherwise, it's advisable that you have this detail ready. Now, so this is the transaction. Let's just get into this ledger and see the rate which is already there. It is 18% rate item. So now I'm going to just quickly just do, instead of IGST, I'm going to select CGST. Obviously, it will not come 11,000. So what our accountant does smartly, he will calculate and put it here and just accept. So if it says, there's a mismatch also, he will still accept. So I will go GSTR1. It will come and fall under this uncertain transactions, or sometimes over there itself we'll say override. So now what he's going to do, he's just going to come here. Yeah, come here, verify and say yes, this is 18% ledger, and accept it. So over here it will come and fall over here. According to you, you have seen this, it is coming and falling over here. While filing the return, you will just go and file this return. If at all you would have just gone and seen, oh, I'm so sorry, it was a IGST letter. So sorry. Yeah. So I'm going to create a CGST. It'll come and fall over here under errors. They don't know what to do. So what they're going to do, they're just going to come here. They're just going to override this transaction, and just over here also they're going to just say accept it. and just accept this transaction. So now it will come and fall over here as CGST, SGST. If we are smart enough, you would have seen this GST number not matching. Okay, but if it's one transaction, it's easy to do. If you have thousands of transactions, this is extremely impossible to find out until you take it out in Excel and find it out. There is one way, however, to come to know about these transactions, these overwritten transactions, which is available over here under exception reports. Voucher accepted as valid. Now it will show you each category of vouchers which have been accepted. So over here, this particular transaction was, just accepted, but the difference again shows to be 0 because the calculation says that that it was IGST and you have selected a CGST, SGST. How to know about this? Just click on Alt J, remove except as is. You can select a couple of transactions or you can do it under one. So now it will again come and fall under this particular transaction. But this is also not the right way. So how would you get this out of this particular place? So this particular error can happen, will be done only when you will be able to, you will have to one-on-one. This particular exception report will only show you the errors which are happening. Since this was accepted, as in it was done in a smart way, wherein the place of supply was changed to Tamil Nadu. This you will not come to know until you drill down to the entry level. Only this overridden transactions you will be able to know because the place of supply, the very place of supply wasn't changed. So over here, if they would have done except as is, what would have happened? Yeah. So if over here they would have done except as is, now in Control J exception report, we would have just removed this remove except as is. It would have again come and fallen under the error category. Then it's fine. But in cases wherein the very, the place of supply itself was changed, the entry becomes right. In such cases, you will have to manually check them. But there is no way, because according to the software and according to any layman view, if the place of supply is right, then the transaction is automatically right. Such transactions will have to be carefully dealt with. But this particular place wherein this exception report, vouchers accepted as valid, is a very good place to find out all the entries wherein the rates were wrong or there was some level of error, especially for GSTR1 transactions. The reason being, when you file the return, you might have entered it as a 12% transaction and you have accepted it as valid transaction. It will go there and enter as 12%. The rate automatically calculates in the portal. So when it automatically calculates in the portal, your GST as per books and your GST as per return will show a mismatch. Or if the rate has been taken rightly, then the taxable value will come and fall under that rate, and probably the transaction is right, but there is a huge risk of your transaction being wrong due to this accepted entry, the overwriting effect. So this has to be seen carefully, especially for your GSTR1 transactions, because the uploading happens rate-wise, and if there is any mismatch in the rate, the portal will automatically take, and sometimes it might overwrite, but for B2B transactions, overwriting is not allowed. So automatically the rate will come correctly, and there you can find the mismatch. But in case of B2C transactions, you will not be able to find the mismatch until you manually calculate and check. So be very careful with this particular exception report. This is one place where you can check errors. The second place is in this particular page, not relevant for this return. Okay. Right now there are no transactions. So let me just change the period. I will change it to, not relevant for this return. It shows transactions of other GST returns. But in case you have multiple transactions, you will have user overridden by user, excluded by user, you will have non-GST transactions. You will also have advance receipts and payments. So, and also you will have contra entries. So these will be the categories you are available. Again, excluded by user, that means the user has specifically excluded the transaction, as in this case you have an option called exclude voucher. So if you just exclude this voucher, it'll come and fall over here, not relevant, and it will say user excluded transactions. So these transactions also you have to see whether it falls under the GST transaction. This is somewhere neglected. Also, a transaction of other GST returns, a lot of times what happens is the GST, the outward supply, by mistake the accountant or any person who is passing the entry takes an input GST ledger. So when they choose an input GST ledger, if the software is able to recognize, it might take it right. But if it's not able to recognize, then what happens is it will come and it'll fall under this particular category or the sales transaction. If the software is not able to recognize this as an outward supply entry, this might happen in cases where there is discount and such ambiguous transactions wherein the the ledger might be booked in the expense group. So then what happens is the software, it's an ambiguous nature of transaction, so it might consider it to be really an outward or an inward supply transaction. It might fall into this category. So all such a lot of times debit notes, credit notes come and fall into this category, and which are ignored till the end when we are seeing in the annual return. So this is where you can find all such errors wherein you are able to see the errors regarding the leftover transactions or transactions that have been overwritten. So this is where it falls under. So this is the place where you can check for such errors. Only after checking this can you say that yes, the return is correct. So please, whenever you file or whenever you're checking the details regarding a return, please do not miss out on these two transactions. These two line items. The third place where you have to check for errors is the HSN summary. The reason being, when the transaction size is limited, if you are able to rectify the HSN errors, it is simpler to do it. Later on, the transaction size becomes bigger, and if at all you have to go to the base, you might have to clear each and every transaction. So that will become a headache, and at the same time, this particular place wherein you do not have quantity, all that can be changed. So before you file the return, these three places are extremely important. Now, again, Tally also allows tax differences. You can have tax differences up to ₹1 maybe. You might have your own threshold limit based on the company size. However, as per the GST portal, even decimal places are taken as difference. So it's better if you have a 0 decimal places. And again, include vouchers where voucher number exceeds 16 characters. In GSTR 1, you may not want to do it, but in GSTR 2, you may have to allow this. So you can do it over here. And there is one option wherein you have a save view option. For example, you're changing the view. You do not want separate tax columns and you want a condensed report. Then you just want this view and you can just save this view. It'll come and show over here, as I have already saved a GSTR1 view. I'll just show you the components of saved view. So in additional, whether you want this as your default view, you can say yes or no as your this thing can as your requirement be. Now, whether you want it for all companies or this company, if you do all companies, then it will be uniform for all the companies whichever you open in that particular license and that particular system. If you do this company, then it will be applicable for this company, no matter which system you open. That's the difference between the two. Whether you want to save this with the related period, if you are creating working papers, you can just define the period and then tell your article assistant or your staff to just use that saved view, generate the report. As simple as that. Now this last portion of stat adjustment, whether you have any such decrease in liability, whether you're going to have any such liability changes, you can definitely do it right here. Just pass a journal entry from there itself. Regarding the reports, this is what it is, and E-Return, all of us know how to generate the return. Now let me go to GSTR2, and I'm going to quickly hand it over to Deepak sir for his demo on E-Invoicing, and today's surprise topic is on digital signature, how to embed digital signature, because a lot of businesses are actually getting into digital signatures, and Tally has brought in this feature of digital signature into the software itself. So you need not have an additional software to input the digital signature. Again, the same places where we went for GSTR1, you're going to go for GSTR2, same error, same methodology. Again, voucher accepted as valid. You'll find all the overridden vouchers over here. If there is any correction to be made at the grassroots level, if you make that correction at the base level, as in at the ledger level or at the stock level, the error will get rectified at the root level itself. If you require multiple ledgers for multiple purposes, it's better to create so. And Tally does not have, as of now, any setting wherein any cancelled vouchers or any cancelled GSTN or any GSTN which has come beyond, beyond a particular date. So what will happen in those cases? The easiest solution for that is you create a separate ledger itself, the party ledger itself. You create as a GST registered party a separate ledger, or if the invoice is cancelled, then you make it an unregistered party, as a separate ledger. Then the issue will sort out. Otherwise, what will happen is all the time this particular GST number will be showing, though you may not include it in your GST invoice details, but it will still come and fall in your sales register. It will come and fall in your voucher, whenever you are going to export the voucher registers, or it might also come and fall under this particular GST returns as well. So whenever you have any customer, especially customers, wherein you have a GST which is subsequently obtained or subsequently cancelled, or if they have not if they have cancelled suo motu or cancelled due to any such reasons, in case of suspended GSTN, you can still take that chance, because maybe it might be re-enabled. But for any other cancelled or subsequently obtained GSTN, it's always better to create a separate ledger and do not use the previous one. So that is about it. Now this in GSTR2, this is the status view. This was helpful when we were doing GSTR2A reconciliation to Tally. This will again be helpful once GSTR2B reconciliation is enabled in Tally. Then you might really want to use the status view. As of now, status view serves no purpose. So all the transactions that are falling in this category will come and fall here. Again, you can go to exception reports and check if there is any such transaction which does not fall. While exporting this return, one thing you have to be careful. A lot of people, a lot of clients, as well as a lot of professionals have asked this query, wherein they are exporting the return but nothing is coming. The reason being, you're not checking this particular line item as yes, because we have not reconciled it through Tally. We are supposed to inform Tally, yes, we have not done it. So you please give me also the unreconciled transaction. Otherwise, it will only show the reconciled transactions only. If you mark this as yes, then whenever you export, whether in Excel or in JSON, you will be able to find these details. So if this is not checked, and if you're filing the return without checking these two places, you cannot be for sure that the particular transactions have been dealt with correctly. So having said that, the last aspect of the statutory reports, so again the GST, e-way bill and the e-invoicing, all of it will come and fall here. 3B is just a consolidation. If your GSTR 1 and 2 is right, since now GSTR 2B is mandatory for 3B, I would suggest you first match 2 with 2B and then only come to GSTR 3B, because GSTR 3B is just a return which is a summary return, and you will find all information. Now we had passed one entry liable to inward supply, and it's coming and falling over here. You just come here. I just chosen here and I just mentioned whether it's applicable, and I mentioned the applicable rate. While passing the entry also, it will ask me whether it is taxable. I will still have to mention whether it is purchase taxable or not, and you need not put any rate. Automatically the reverse charge will get calculated. And I'm very well aware that most of us know majority things, but even if we would have just brushed up whatever is learned, also it serves the purpose. Regarding e-invoice, since I do not have the login credentials, I would hand it over to Deepak sir, since they have the login ID credential. He will just take over from now. Deepak sir.
I'm audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible. I'm stopping my screen. You can just carry forward.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I have given the rights to.
Okay. Can someone confirm? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Visible.
Okay. Thank you, Monica ma'am, for enlightening us with the insights of accounting and different things in Tally related to GST and related compliance. As Monica ma'am said, that I'll take you through the generation of e-invoice right through on from our product. We will use the sandbox capability. It's not the live portal which we are using. We are going to use the sandbox, which is a virtual space, but the experience would be similar to the live generation and the sandbox. So first I'll start generating the single invoice. Before that, what are the configurations are required? That has been already explained by Monica ma'am. So I'm not going into that. I'm directly moving to the e-invoice generation part. So I am recording one sales voucher here. And as you can see here, I'm getting an option called provide e-invoice detail. Here I'll put enter, and I need to mention this bill to place and ship to place. And as soon as I save this particular voucher, Tally will ask you to generate e-invoice. Do you want to generate our invoice or not? So you can press yes. Now on the next page, you will be asked to provide the username. So what happens? Sometimes users, we have observed that the user puts the wrong login credential. There are two login credentials. One is for a portal, and second one is for your API login credential. So how it is possible that you can generate an invoice right from your product? It is possible through the concept of GSP, which is GST Suvidha Provider. When GST was implemented, there was some private players which was enrolled as a GST Suvidha Provider. And fortunately, Tally solution is one of the GSP, authorized GSP. And with our GSP services, we are facilitating you to reach out to the portal right from our product and generate the e-invoice. So here you need to provide your API login, not the portal login. Okay, so here I'm entering my API login and the password. Once I press enter, 1 second. Okay, so it will generate the invoice right from the product. Once you press enter and you take the printout of this particular invoice, You can see the E-Invoice, QR code, and the IRN both are mentioned on this particular invoice, and the same has been put under this field, this one. So whatever QR code and IRN and acknowledgement number has been generated, that will be automatically filled in the particular fields. So that is how we can generate E-Invoice directly from a product. We come to the next use case where we might be required to generate E-Invoice along with E-Way bill. If the transaction value is more than 50,000 and my turnover allows me to generate the E-Invoice, then both will be applicable on a specific transaction. So let's take that use case. So here I am posting a voucher with the value of 61,824. Now we will have an additional screen which will ask us the or required details regarding E-Way bill generation. So we'll come here. The most common mistake which we have observed, which is being reported frequently, it is about the distance. What happens? We oftenly use the Google map to find out the distance between one pin code to another pin code. That is not the recommended way. The recommended way to get the exact distance between a pin code to another pin code is to go through the E-Way bill portal. There, the department has given a facility called pin to pin distance. You can use that particular field, and whatever distance is there, you can put it. So I enter it here. Now, if you have any transporter, you can mention it. Otherwise, you can enter the mode of transportation, the additional document number which is being generated, vehicle number, and the vehicle type. Once you save this and you accept, you need to enter your E-Invoice login detail. Now, most of us would be thinking that if I give my E-Invoice login, how it will generate, how it will help in generating E-Way bill. Because as Monica said, everything is getting integrated. Once we provide the detail of E-Invoice, and along with that we send the request for E-Way bill generation, that IRP portal automatically sends the request to the E-Way bill portal, and that the generation of E-Way bill happens. So here what we will do, we will just put our login credential. Because I have already entered it once, it will not ask for next 6 hours until unless I switch off my laptop or I close the Tally instance. It will not ask for next 6 hours. Okay. Now you can see this information dialog box shows that E-Way bill and E-Invoice both are generated. Press enter and just try to take the printout of this particular voucher. Here you can see we are having this E-Invoice QR code, IRN details. Along with that, we are having the E-Way bill number. And not only this, on the next page, we will have a detailed printout of E-Way bill also. Okay. So this all happens with the single click. You need not to export the JSON and then upload it to E-Way bill portal, then upload the E-Invoice detail on E-Invoice portal to generate the IRN number. There is no redundant work to be done. And you can generate it with the help of a single screen or a single login. Now, what if you are not able to generate the E-Invoice right from a product? Yes, it is possible. There might be some situations where we will not be able to generate E-Invoice from a portal, and that can happen in case if any of the services is under maintenance. So how you can check that whether a particular service is under maintenance? There are two kinds of services working to make it successful. One is from Tally services, another one is from NIC services. So all that you can check from this about section. Under about section, here is one hyperlink which is for status of online access services. Once you press enter here and press yes, it will take you to a web page where you can check all the services which are working. Like first 4-5 are Tally services and other 2 is for NIC services. So if any of the services is under maintenance, then direct integration will not work. In that case, we have given a facility to export the JSON from product and directly upload it to portal. So how you can do that? Let's put a third voucher here. Okay. So Once I save this particular voucher, it will ask me to generate. Once I press yes, it will throw an error because one of the services is under maintenance. So what I'll do, I'll press no. And to export the JSON, I'll go on exchange button. And from here, I'll click on send for e-invoicing. Here you can see there are two invoices which are pending. One is for 501, another is for 504. I want to export the JSON for 504. I'll select that by pressing space button and I'll click on offline export. The moment you will click on offline export, it will give you a ready-made JSON file, which you can upload to the e-waybill or invoice portal. The last use case is for e-invoice cancellation. So if I want to cancel invoice right from a product, what we can do, we can go to the e-invoice report. And here we can see there are few invoices which are generated. There are two e-invoices which got generated. We want to cancel this first one. So what I'll do, I'll select this and click on cancel IRN. I have to mention this particular region and the remark and press enter. Now it is showing as a pending for IRN cancellation. It is not yet cancelled. We have just marked this voucher as a cancelled, but the request has not been sent to the portal. So how we can send this particular cancellation request to the portal? For that, we need to go to the exchange. And from here, we will go to the send for invoicing. We'll select this cancellation voucher. And from here, we'll click on send. The moment we'll click on send, this cancellation request will go on portal and the voucher will be cancelled. The same will be updated in your report. Now this cancellation bucket or category shows that particular number of invoices got cancelled from the portal. The last use case in this cancellation is cancelling an e-invoice which has e-waybill. So in our one of the use case, we had taken one of the voucher in which we generated e-waybill along with e-invoice. So now in that case, if you will cancel this particular voucher, so let's say I cancel this particular IRN. So it will give us a pop-up that we are cancelling an e-invoice which has an active e-waybill. So as per the guideline, we cannot cancel an e-invoice which has an e-waybill in active state. First, we have to cancel the e-waybill and then we can cancel the e-invoice. So let's say if I continue it from here and I put the remark and the reason to cancel this particular invoice and I go on exchange. From here, I send the request to the portal for the cancellation. So here we can see it is showing that documents rejected by invoice system, means whatever request we were sending for cancelling this particular invoice, it got cancelled, it got rejected. So how we can see the detail of this rejection, that what was the cause which behind rejecting this particular cancellation request. So under e-invoice, we will have another bucket which will list all the rejections. Once you press enter here, you will get the reason for which this cancellation request was rejected. So it clearly states that the IRN cannot be cancelled because e-waybill has been generated. You can cancel e-waybill and then try cancelling the IRN. So that's how we can have this these things in product. We started from the e-invoice generation, then we saw how we can generate the JSON, how we can generate the e-invoice along with e-waybill, how we can reject the e-invoice right from the product. In case if e-invoice is generated along with the e-waybill, then we have to cancel the e-waybill first and then we can do the cancellation of e-invoice. Modification in the e-invoice is not allowed. Even if you have a small mistake in the invoice, you have to cancel it and you have to generate another e-invoice with the correct information. Now we will move to the our next topic, which is the digital signature. So in our new release, which is Tally Prime release 2.1, we have introduced one of the feature by which a user can easily use digital signature within the product and they can generate the documents along with the digital signature. What is the use of digital signature? You all are well aware about that, so I'm not going to that. How we can use it, that I'll explain. So right now I have not added the I have not attached my DSC to the laptop. I'm just going to attach it right now. So the moment I attach it, it will show me the pop-up that for the pin change that I'm canceling it. The only format which is supported for applying the digital signature is PDF format, because that is the only format where we can actually verify the authenticity of document and digital signature, whether the document has been modified after applying the DSC or not. Like this, I have an PDF. In this PDF, I have applied the DSC from Tally. Once I click on that and validate the signature, it will clearly show that the document was not modified since the signature was applied. So the PDF format is supported from Tally. It has a valid region because none other format will give you a facility to validate the digital signature. Only PDF can do so, not Excel, web page, image, print. These format will not give you facility to validate the information or the authenticity of the digital signature. So let's say I'm just taking an example. You can apply it on any report, any document, any voucher. So let's say I want to export this particular invoice and I want to apply this particular digital signature on this voucher. So what I'll do, I'll click on export current, and from here what we need to ensure that the format should be PDF. So we can change the format by clicking on this F8 button, file format. We can select PDF. The moment you will select PDF and press enter, on the next field you will see the list of digital signatures. As you can see, my digital signature is appearing here. If you have attached multiple digital signature to your laptop by using a USB hub or anything else, so all the digital signature will be listed out here. You can select any of them. So let's say you want to you or your client want to use a specific digital signature for a specific need, so you can select that from the list. Then what format you want to use, like only text or text and image. So like we are seeing here, in the recent PDF file which I was showing you, that has a small image file. So if you want the image along with the digital signature text, you can select text or image. If you want only to if you want the text only, you can select the first one. Then because I have select text and image, I have to give the path of this particular file. Okay, so let me search it. So it is on desktop and there's a DSC image, so I selected it. Then do I want to include the name of signatory? Yes. And once I click on send button and export this particular voucher, override, then it will ask me to verify by putting the PIN number of DSC. The important thing is, once you enter this particular PIN, you need not to enter it again until unless you detach your DSC dongle or you turn off your computer or close this particular instance. If you have if the particular DSC is attached to your system, you need not to put this particular PIN again and again. Okay, so I enter this particular login and the document has been exported, and you can see this particular document which we just exported, that was 501, that has a digital signature. Okay, so that's how we can append the digital signature to a document, or that the same can be done in a report. So let's say I want to export this particular balance sheet. Again, the process is you need to export this particular document in PDF format. Just click on send. Now you can see it is not asking the PIN code because my DSC is attached with this particular laptop, and just press yes and it will be exported. So now you can see this balance sheet has the digital signature. So that's how we can add the digital signature in Tally Prime. And before that, we saw that how the E-Invoice capabilities can be managed and the compliance related requirement can be managed in Tally Prime 2.1. So that's it from my side. Monica, if anything else you want me to cover?
No, sir. But I would like to just quickly cover up the the process of how e-invoicing happens. So that alone we will just take in, and then we can go for Q&A. We have completed well ahead of time, so we can actually take up a lot of questions and probably learn in that process. Sir, can you give me back the screen share?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. One second. Can someone from SIRC help in giving the access to Monica, ma'am? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I will shared it to ma'am.
So we were right here. So this is the entire process how the e-invoice, the e-invoice, the technology works. So it starts right from the supplier inputting all the invoice details using the ERP, which goes to the invoice registration portal. The invoice registration portal in the backend, it does a check wherein it checks whether the particular invoice number is already present in that particular year, and then it signs the, it creates that QR code and sends it back to the ERP. Then it also sends this particular e-invoice which is generated. It will send it to the GST system, wherein it shows in your GSTR1 return, and also if e-waybill is applicable, it will go to the e-waybill portal and also generate the e-waybill number. Now in the GST portal, so ERP and IRP, both the integration happens in a click of a button, and also this integration also happens real time. So it does, as mentioned by Deepak sir, the entire process is actually happening in the backend. So much of the process is happening before the IRN is generated, and this particular invoice gets stored in the GST portal. Now this GST portal has this particular invoice number with an unique invoice. If you try to update it, it will only if you try to input this GST detail, it will only add up. It will only modify this particular transaction. But as the GST portal works, it does not allow, even in case of e-invoices, any duplication. And real time also the GSTR 2A and 2B also gets updated. Now from the buyer's perspective, what sir mentioned was only from the seller's perspective. From the buyer's perspective, the buyer can also use this particular QR code to verify the invoice. Where he can do it is again in the IRP portal. There is a section wherein he can just verify this particular QR code, and that once verified, only this particular invoice is said to be valid. If the QR code is invalid, as mentioned earlier, this invoice also will be rendered invalid, and the related ITC also will become invalid. So with that, I would like to end up again with a quote. So the future belongs to those who learn skills and combine them in creative ways. As of now, if you see, a lot of fields and lot of work are getting combined. In case of Deepak sir, he is one testimonial, like he is actually a software person, but he knows in and out of GST, he knows in and out of all the legal aspects related to e-invoicing. You ask him and he is aware of it. That is the requirement of his job, and he's already combined it to his benefit. So all of us also have to be like, even though we are not the software experts, we have to be to a level, software known person. We need to know the softwares we are working with. We need to know the technologies we are working with. Otherwise, working will become really, really difficult. With that, I would like to hand it over to the SIRC team so that we can open up for questions.
Well, share my screen from my end. Just let me know whether my screen is visible, ma'am. I have shared my screen. Is this visible to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Dealer having 20 crores turnover, but his invoicing is only B2C. Even if it's one transaction, he will have to generate E-Invoice. That is the requirement. Though I said we are not going to touch on the legal aspect, but yes, it is applicable. He will have to generate E-Invoice. RCM, I think we have already seen that. Madam, can you just take up the question so that answering will become faster?
Ma'am, we'll just, sorry, I can't get you.
Can you just take up, read one-on-one question? I finished the first question, the second question.
Yes, ma'am. The second question is how to enter RCM transaction in Tally.
I just showed it. In case you want it again, I can quickly show it, but
Yes,
for that I'll clear my screen. We'll do it in the end.
Yeah.
This alone will do it in the end.
Yes, ma'am.
How CGST and SGST is appearing in sales entry by default. Sir, this is part of the automation. This is the level 1 automation wherein we just incorporate the rate details in the either we have to do it in either the stock item level, or it can happen at the GST level also. But when you're doing at the GST level, you will have to do it also at the stock item level or at the ledger level. If you're doing in all the places, you have to make sure that all the places have the same information fed in. That's the only catch there. Yes, ma'am. The next question.
Yes. Why are you insisting on using purchase mode when even when GST purchase is permissible in journal? Please explain.
I am. It is my personal insistence. You can very well pass it through journal mode. The reason of insisting on a purchase mode is the flexibility of the accounting modes. You can have an invoice voucher. You can have a journal setup also in the purchase mode itself. That's the only reason I am insisting on the purchase mode. And generally, when you book entries in the purchase mode, it generally falls, even if there is error, it will come and fall in the error category and not under excluded transaction. Generally, that's the reason I'm insisting on purchase mode. Yes.
Please inform where we can get step-by-step of making e-invoice and digital signature in a help menu of Tally.
I think this Deepak sir can take it up better because he is the resource person of Tally. But step by step, this thing is available in YouTube also. There are a lot of short videos made by Tally. The link also flows through this Tally software as well in the help command. But I think Deepak sir would be better would be providing better answer to this question.
Yeah, you said very well that we can go through the help.tallysolutions.com. There we can search for e-invoice, and that's a very detailed article is available on the particular portal. Or we can float the link, YouTube link, which Ranka said, to the SIRC, and they can circulate it to their members if it is possible.
At least, sir. Just share it with us over mail. We'll share it with.
Yes, definitely.
Sure.
So the next question is how to cancel a e-way bill before canceling tax invoice, as e-way bill is active IRN.
I am not able to. How to cancel? Deepak sir, you have listened, but I wanted to tell you. Yes, someone has actually raised that question. So I think, sir, when we are taking this particular aspect of RCM, I'll hand it over to you itself. You can take this cancellation also. The user ID is in your thing. Madam, we'll go to the next one. These two questions, we'll take it up together, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. So the next question is, at a particular time, if e-way bill portal is not working and we generate e-invoice with JSON, later when I want to generate e-bill, should I enter API login in or e-way bill login?
As sir mentioned, you have to enter in the portal. In the portal, no, this can happen through Tally itself. First of all, wherever when the return, the e-way bill, E-invoice return which we saw, there you will have to just you can directly do it from Tally. If you're doing directly, then you have to take the JSON and then you will have to do it through the E-Waybill login, not through the API login. Am I right, sir?
Correct, ma'am. Just take it as a different use case. Let's say I'm posting a voucher which requires E-Waybill along with E-Invoice, and what I did while entering the E-Waybill detail, I mentioned the wrong distance. So when I put the E-Invoice login detail and generate the E-Invoice along with E-Waybill, E-Invoice successfully gets generated, but E-Waybill will not. Okay, so in that case, what we can do, we can go to the exchange, and there is one option called send for E-Waybill. So if this is the case, which is mentioned in this particular question, in that case, we can use that particular option, and that time we have to enter E-Waybill login credential, not the invoice login credential.
Yes, sir. So we will take this also when you're just doing, we'll just show this part also. Can we move on to the next one, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. So an exporter with LUT has wrongly generated E-invoice with tax amount. The same is identified only after goods being exported. The possibility of cancelling the invoice is not possible. Please let us know how to proceed.
This is actually a completely legal standpoint. Yes, cancellation is not possible, and you will have to go through the credit note. But since goods are already exported, it's a complete legal challenge. So this question you have to go to experts. So this question, what we generally do is we generally we just raise a credit note and then you pass a E-invoice again. But having said that, it is not the right way to do. Regarding this, we are actually a little perplexed ourselves.
Can we
Yes,
go to
ma'am.
the second question?
Yes,
Next
yes,
question.
ma'am.
The turnover of the firm is 25 crore, but the sales is exempted sales. E-invoicing is mandatory or not needed?
Mandatory. It is mandatory. The turnover has already crossed 20 crores, and aggregate turnover includes exempted sales. So it is mandatory.
Can you please explain the error of mismatch in nature of transaction and place of supply?
This error is, there are actually two types of errors which come in this error itself. One is wherein the nature of transaction, that's nothing but whether it's purchase taxable, whether it's interstate purchase, we'll talk about outward because inward is easier to match. So outward, whether it is, sales taxable, whether it's interstate sales taxable, whether it is sales to SEZ taxable, whether it's sales to SEZ exempt and without payment of tax, there are a lot of categories which come. And again, the place of supply. So what happens a lot of times, these are not matching with each other. For example, examples we took were very simple examples. Let us include an SEZ unit into it. So what will happen for an SEZ unit, the place of supply will be Tamil Nadu only. I mean, the state might be Tamil Nadu, or it might be Karnataka. But having said that, it might be an SEZ unit. The moment you choose SEZ, IGST will become applicable. So when all the three are not matching, then it will throw out this error because of the mismatch in the nature of supply. The second reason we just witnessed when I wantedly created a wrong entry. When I changed the place of supply for the supplier, you would have noticed that all the entries falling for that supplier, everything got changed because I changed at the ledger level. So again, there was a mismatch between the nature of supply and the place of supply, because nature of transaction and the place of supply. The moment I changed the state, it became from purchase sales taxable, it became interstate sales taxable. However, I had still continued with sales taxable with CGST, SGST. That was the reason for the mismatch. So whenever the nature and the place of supply do not match, as in whenever an intrastate or interstate has been mixed up, then this error will definitely show up. Yes, ma'am. Next question. Deepak, sir, do you want to add anything to it?
Yes.
No, not in this question.
Yeah, any question you want to add, please feel free to add, sir.
was one question of cancelling the e-invoice while the e-way bill is still an active state. Can you put that particular question on the screen, ma'am?
Yes.
I think this is fourth or fifth question.
Am I right, sir? At a particular time of e-way bill is not. Am I right? Is this? Is my screen visible, sir? Actually,
Yeah. Yes.
is the moment is
To cancel e-way bill. Yeah, so this question in 13th row, it is how to cancel e-way bill before cancelling tax invoice as e-way bill in the active IRN. So because due to time constraint, we could not demonstrate the e-way bill capability in Tally. So if we talk about our product, so in the same concept, with the same concept, we have a facility of generating e-way bill, modifying the part B, extending the validity of e-way bill, and cancelling the e-way bill. So with the help of our product, you can first cancel the e-way bill, and then you can go and cancel the e-invoice within the product. If you want to do this on the portal, then the same process is there. You have to first log into the e-way bill portal. There you have to cancel the e-way bill. Then you can come to the invoice portal and cancel the invoice. So process remains same, whether you want to go with product or the portal, that depends on you.
Yeah, the level, to add to that, it is available in the same exchange place, right, sir? The e-way bill cancellation also is available in exchange, that tab alone.
Yeah, correct. In exchange, we have an option called send for e-way bill. So from there, they can cancel it.
Now we can go on to the next question. I thought you had a solution for the export. I actually thought that.
whether we can file GSTR1 directly from GST portal, though we e-invoice are generated.
This GSTR1, can we file GSTR1? I am not able to get this question. Deepak sir, are you able to?
I think the question is, like, if we generate the e-invoice and from the portal or from Tally product, that automatically syncs with GSTR1. So can we go and directly file it? I think this is the option.
If it's matching, you can go file. If it's not matching, do section wise return, and then you can just file.
Yeah, because GSTR1 will, with the help of this e-invoice thing, we can only match the B2B transactions, not the B2C. So first we have to go and check the B2C bucket also, whether it is matching with our Tally's data or an accounting software data or not. If it is matching, then we can go and directly file the GSTR1.
How to export purchases and sales invoice from Excel to Tally Prime.
Sir, this, I think you would be better to take it.
I think the question should be how to import purchase and sales invoice from Excel to Tally Prime. Because export is always there. You can export the sales invoice or purchase invoice, whatever you want to export. This import capability is not available in the product. Okay, so in this financial year, we have this feature in our product pipeline. And in this financial year, we'll try to incorporate this in the default product. So as of now, the import feature is not available.
How and where to create API login?
Okay, so once you log into the e-invoice portal, at the left hand side you can see the create API user. So once you click on that, there's an option called API user creation. Once you click on that, you have to first enter your GSTIN number. Then it will send you the OTP on your registered number. After that, you will get the list of GSTPs. GSPs, GST Suvidha providers. If you are using Tally product, you need to select GST Tally India Private Limited as a GST Suvidha provider. The detailed video of this process is available on Tally Solutions YouTube channel. I'm just noting it down. The link for the same I'll send to the SIRC, so let's send their number.
Thank you, sir. Just for your easing my work also. Apart this particular ASP, this is available in GST portal as well. The same API login is available in the GST portal. The procedure is right the same. Only the difference is the portal is changing. It is available. This API login is available also in the GST portal. Many of us have already properly used it as well. Two different users. Yes, ma'am. Next question.
Yes. For clarification process, a registered supplier for which I am liable for RCM, should I need to generate E-invoice?
If your turnover crosses, in this case, sir, is E-invoice, this thing, is it allowing? As in, like, the thing is, because it's a registered product, but GST does not come in a RCM, so does it allow? It is advisable that you do it, but I'm not very sure that you need to do it or not. According to me, you are supposed to generate the invoice without the GST, but I am not very clear on that aspect. I'll definitely get back on that aspect. So do you have any clarity on that? Deepak, sir?
It is, if I'm correct, it is about the outward supply related to RCM.
Outward supply, yes, sir.
Yeah, so for that they need to generate the E-invoice.
Okay, so yeah, then it is required. Okay. Because I had that thing that it is required, but I was not very clear.
Whether E-invoice is applicable for non-GST goods like petrol and diesel?
No, E-invoice is not applicable for such transaction.
Whether e-credit note is required for credit note for discount allowed to buyer without sales impact, whether e-debit note is required for debit notes raised for reimbursement of expenses.
Reimbursement of expenses, it might be required because there is a sales impact. Now discount, if you see, there are two types of discount. One is a discount which is liable to GST, and one is the other type, which is the cash discount, for which GST is not applicable. In the case where GST is not applicable, invoice is also not applicable. But if it's impacting the, if it's a trade discount, then I think, it is automatically under GST ambit, and invoice is directly applicable. Reimbursement, again, if it's an agency principal relationship, then it falls outside GST purview. But otherwise, automatically GST is also applicable on reimbursement. So automatically, E-invoicing is applicable.
Yes. Next is like, can we delete all the entries generated through E-invoicing in am I left out whether non-GST goods like petrol will be included in calculating 20 crore turnover of E-invoice?
No, non-GST goods do not form part of aggregate turnover as per the definition of the, of aggregate turnover. So no, you will not include non-GST goods for calculating your turnover.
Can we delete all the entries generated through E-invoicing in GSTR1 and upload from Tally since there is a mismatch?
Firstly, E-invoicing, whatever is there in E-invoicing is only, which is right. And if there is a mismatch, then you need to check whether the mismatch is, whether the entry as per your books is right. And if that is the case, then you might have to, literally raise credit notes and pass fresh invoices, because once an E-invoice is generated, you cannot modify even a small aspect of that invoice. So there should generally be no mismatch. In case there is a mismatch, then the treatment itself will become different. You want to add anything, sir?
No, ma'am, because the question relates to the portal and I have no exposure about the portal, so I will go with your explanation only.
Okay.
What is the effective date for mandatory generation of e-invoice?
The mandatory generation, I think it's 24 hours. Is there any change, sir, in that?
As of now on portal, there is no such guidelines. Earlier, when this e-invoice concept was introduced for 500 crore plus turnover companies, that time it was 3 days. But now, as of today, there is no time limit for that. But we have, whenever we are creating the invoice, we have to go with the rules or the guidelines mentioned in the different documents and FAQs. So, if you go with that guidelines, then we have to generate the e-invoice then and there when we're creating the invoice. Because if the invoice is relating with the movement of goods, then in that case we have to have a valid invoice. So I think on portal there is no such timeline to generate the invoice, but we have to see the both sides.
Next question, madam.
As we know, an e-invoice cannot be cancelled after 24 hours. If we want to alter an invoice after the time limit, it was said that we have to go through the credit note mode. My doubt is whether we need to update this credit note in e-invoice.
Yes, you will have to update this credit note also through e-invoice mode. And then if at all you're raising a fresh invoice, that also has to again be in e-invoice.
And the next question is whether e-invoice can be generated after the month if the date has to be the earlier month.
This is a completely ambiguous part. According to me, no. But still it has to be tested. Probably if it's in the testing range, you might have the benefit of utilizing, but according to me, no.
And whether e-invoice is applicable for bill of supply even if its turnover is above 25 crore.
About 20 crore bill of supply is for non-GST goods. It's so it may not be applicable, but in case if it's exempted goods, then yeah, you will have to generate. Sir, any correction to that? Because I am also a little doubtful regarding this aspect alone.
Yeah, actually, a bill of supply that comes into the picture in case if you are supplying the exempted product along with this non-GST thing. So in both the cases, we generate bill of supply, and if the supplier is generating the bill of supply, in that case, they need not to generate the invoice. In Tally itself, if the bill of supply is being generated, the invoice option will not come.
Correct. I mean, okay, I stand corrected there. Then even if it's exempted supply, invoice does not.
Then can we go to the next question, ma'am? So as you said, the e-invoicing is not applicable for petrol and diesel. Are you sure? In my case, petrol dealer is selling in bulk quantities to transporters, B2B transactions.
Petrol, fuel. Petrol is outside the purview of GST as of now. So according to me, it should not be applicable because it is still outside the purview of GST itself. So whether it is for transporters or not, it's a secondary question, but sale of petrol itself is not applicable to GST according to my view. I may stand corrected, but as of now, it is not applicable.
Actually, this is the question which we frequently gets from the professionals. They only focus on B2B transactions, but B2B transaction has to be supported with a tax invoice. In this case, the previous one where the exempted product was into the picture and now the non-GST product is into the picture, in that case, tax invoice is not generated. So we have to see both the things, B2B transaction supported by a tax invoice. If this is the case, then we have to generate the invoice, otherwise we will not.
You might at least have ambiguity between exempted and non-exempted, exempted and taxable goods, but non-GST is directly outside the purview of GST. So that cannot be brought in just for the sake of e-invoicing. It cannot come under GST itself. Yes, ma'am. Next question. This we have already answered, ma'am. E-Invoice
Whether-
required for debt.
Yeah. So yeah, how to update the credit note? Credit note raised against an E-invoice.
Same way how you would, update a E-Invoice, an invoice. It's the same procedure. Am I right, sir?
An
Yes,
exporter
correct.
with LUT has claimed GST refund but not realized the export proceeds with the time limit given under FEMA Act. What we need to do for above case in situational bad debt situation
One
to
second.
realize. Sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am.
Ma'am, this we'll have to skip because it's a legal question and it requires expert opinions, and I'm no expert. So I am sorry, but we'll have to skip this question.
Okay,
Because
ma'am. The
it
second.
involves a lot of legal, backing.
So for inward supply, liable to RCM for a registered person is E-invoice compulsory.
For inward supply, no, E-Invoice is not applicable on inward supplies.
Uh,
Now I'm not able to see the screen.
so
Yes.
yeah, now it is like moving, ma'am. So that means E-invoice is not required for exempted goods. Am I right? Question.
According to the information I have in my end, I feel it's not applicable. But this aspect alone, I may stand corrected once I have better information in my possession. So as of now, I say that yes, but I may stand corrected on this.
How CGST and SGST automatically appearing in sales voucher creation?
We are lacking in time, but otherwise I would have definitely shown. We can definitely take it offline in case you just want this, because this question is appearing again. If at all it's required, we can definitely take it offline.
Yes, ma'am. So whether e-invoice can be generated now for a previous month invoice. So I think we have done with that also.
Yes, ma'am. I think these questions are just repeating. According.
Is e-invoicing applicable to B2C transactions?
No, e-invoicing is not applicable to B2C transactions.
One more time. Aggregated turnover includes exempted supplies. Exempted supplies definition includes non-taxable supplies. Hence, as per definition, petrol, diesel will be included in aggregated supply.
We are actually getting into a legal feud, but despite that, still petrol, diesel is not a non-taxable supply. It's a non-GST good. There's a difference between a non-taxable supply and a non-GST purviewed supply. So I will still stand with my opinion that it is not applicable. However, having said that, we again say that exempted supplies are also not required for e-invoicing. So I still stand with my view, but if you feel, then I think you should take it up with with some expert on this. Because as I mentioned in the start of the presentation, I'm very sorry, just a minute. As I mentioned in the start of the presentation, we are not here to discuss any legal standpoints, because our presentation, the entire event was designed for only practical aspects. For any practical aspects, I can definitely cover up, but legal aspect, I just gave my opinion. I'm no expert, so I will just restrict to that much of.
Yes, ma'am. So how to cancel e-invoice after 24 hours?
E-invoice cannot be cancelled after 24 hours. The only route is the credit note route.
Yes. So e-invoice is not mandatory for exempted supplies. As for exempted supplies, bill of supply is issued and
so
not
much.
tax invoice.
Yeah, thank you for the information, whoever, I'm not sure who posted this,
That's
but
given.
yeah,
Yeah, member. Yes.
thank you so much.
So if we alter auto-populated data in the GSTR1 and return if return is filed, is the impact is to be of receiver.
This particular part regarding e-invoice, whether the impact actually it should not be, but maybe the portal behaves differently, because a lot of places we have experienced there is a mismatch between what has been referred to in the provisions and what is happening in reality. So there might be a mismatch, but we have actually not come across any situation wherein there was a mismatch per se. But if that is happening, then it is a matter of time, it will get rectified. But generally, there should not be any mismatch.
If I have only B2C supply exceeding 20 crore, is e-invoice applicable?
E-invoice becomes applicable, but you need not file e-invoice because you have B2C invoices. But e-invoicing becomes applicable the moment you have the first B2B invoice, you will have to upload.
So whether e-credit is to raise for buyer quality claim?
I am not sure with this question. Deepak sir, can you decipher this question?
Actually, I'm not getting the intention of this question, the explanation, just with this set of words, I'm not able to get
Can we
the idea
just
about the
add some
particular
elaboration
question.
on this question, whoever has this? Ma'am, do we
Yes,
have any?
ma'am. Yeah, so those were the questions compiled from my end, ma'am. Can we go to the second question, which you told that you will be like explaining? Can I give you how to enter RCM transaction in Tally? So can I give the rights to you, ma'am?
Yes, give me.
Yeah.
I think we'll end with that because we are already overshooting the time.
Yes, ma'am. So I have given you the rights, ma'am. You can do it.
Okay. So for RCM, ma'am, can you repeat the question once? Madam?
How to enter RCM transactions in Tally?
I am presuming RCM inward transactions, and I'm just going ahead because I'm not sure whether it is RCM outward or inward. Even if it's outward, all you need to do is when you're creating the goods, if it's goods, or when you're creating the service entry, you will have to just choose the RCM applicability at the tax analysis page. That's the only difference. So it's a purchase invoice. I will just okay, I'll just choose any one party, probably Interstate Limited, and I will choose security charges. In this, security charges is RCM enabled. You can just create, or I'm just showing you quickly. So once you say applicable, for even for RCM transactions, you have to say that it's GST applicable. And when you're selecting, you will have to select. I mean, if at all it's only you want to make it only local, then you select anything over here, otherwise do not select anything. And in taxability, you say whether it is taxable, exempt, nil rated, whatever be the category, after which you will have this particular item is reverse charge applicable. Over here you have to say yes, and once you say yes, you will have to input the rate. In case you do not have this information, you might have your screen like this. This is what you might see on your screen. In case that is the case, you just click on F12 and enable RCM, enable reverse charge calculation. And if at all you want any other details to be enabled, enable that and you'll find this RCM information. You just check that to be yes and put the rate, applicable rate, and just accept the ledger. Now once you create, for example, I will just create a 35,000 RCM entry. You select the correct category, interstate purchase taxable, or whether it is purchase taxable. If it's local, if it's a local party, then you might have to select purchase taxable. Select the right one because RCM calculation will happen based on the place of supply. So once you have selected that, I'll just go to the GSTR1 ledger. It'll show it also in the GSTR2 ledger, but I will show it in the GSTR1 ledger. I'm sorry. Yeah, reverse charge supplies. If it's outward, it will come and fall here. You need not put tax values. Once you say reverse charge is applicable, you can do it without tax values. In the GSTR3B or GSTR2, it'll come and fall over here. Inward supply is liable to reverse charge. Automatically tax got calculated. If I just get into the entry, they will find no tax there. So it will not show any tax amount over here. Whenever you make the payment of tax, that's when you will just input a fresh entry, and you can claim that. So whenever you claim it, that entry will get reversed. Accounting perspective also, debit and credit happens and that entry gets cancelled automatically. So you will not have any reverse charge GST entry in the reverse charge entry. So that is about it. You can do it under purchase voucher type. As I told, it can be done under journal voucher type as well. So you just have to choose the correct this thing and just go about it. Now, if you just see, it became minus. The reason being the debit and credit issue. So if you just make the entry correct, it will automatically come and fall correct at the correct place. So it comes and falls at the right place. Since whenever you use journal, be very careful. You might mix up the debit and credit and it might fall under addition of input instead of reducing the input or otherwise. That alone you have to be careful about. So this is about the reverse charge. And for people who are asking for e-way bill, this is where you can do it from here. If you want to, just do it. If you want to offline export directly through the portal, you just get the the JSON file. So that is the place, same exchange. So this is where you can do it. Anything else, ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am. We have one more question. Can we take it up, ma'am?
Yes, definitely.
The last question is, does e-invoice is required for all invoices, including B2C invoice, once the limit is crossed?
As mentioned earlier, e-invoicing is not applicable for B2C invoices, but for knowing the applicability of whether you fall under the gambit of e-invoice, you will have to see all invoices. But for what and all you need to generate invoices is different from the requirement of ascertaining whether e-invoice is mandatory. So B2C invoices is not e-invoicing is not required for any B2C transaction, no matter what your turnover is. So it's a blanket exemption that B2C invoices no invoice. Because the purpose of e-invoice, we need to understand the purpose. The purpose of e-invoice is only for integration of, seamless integration of input and, to eliminate duplication, errors, and later correction of invoices. To eliminate all of those kind of errors, only e-invoicing has come into picture. So B2C, this purpose is not required because there's no one who's gonna claim the credit. So that is the reason.
The final question is, GST ITC is displaying in 2 and 3B, but it is added to purchase value and not showing in current liability. How to rectify?
This is actually a very specific query. For this, we will have to see the data. Without that, I don't think we'll be able to provide a correct solution to this. So it is like we'll have to actually see the data why this is happening. So do you have any solution, which can be blanketed and given?
No, ma'am. Like we said that we need to go through the data only. Because there is one option by which we can add the taxes into the purchase cost. So I think they have activated that option. So we have to go through the data, then we can
Yeah.
take the
So this alone, you please contact either me or Deepak sir, both of us. Anyone can you just contact us, and we can definitely check it out.
Yes, ma'am. So those were the questions which were like compiled from our end. So in the absence of our chairman and our secretary, and due to the technical issue, he was like not able to join Sir. So I would propose the vote of thanks to Monica Challani ma'am and Deepak sir, who like take their time and address our member and answering each and every questions of the members, ma'am. So thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Once again, I thank Deepak sir also. Thank you, ma'am. And sir.
Thank you so much. It's actually a pleasure to come and address my own institute. Like from my alma mater, this is where we actually from where we have learned. So it's always an honor to come back here.
Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Once again.